Welcome to Drive Time's 2014 annual wrap-up of all the vehicles that we have test-driven in the past 12 months. Now, joining me on this roundtable discussion today, without the roundtable, is Lara, who you may also know as my wife. She's appeared in a few videos recently, like the Honda CR-V, Lexus NX, giving that female perspective that so many of you are looking for. And then this gentleman over here, you probably recognize, because I think it's been about 10 years now.
At least.
That Chris has been coming out on the Drive Time shoots. He's usually in the driver's seat in the videos.
Maybe you recognize me like this.
But he also does camera work from time to time,
yeah,
and other things.
I'm in the driver's seat too, look out for me there.
And he works for cheap too. It's usually just an egg and cheese sandwich somewhere.
Lunch.
Yeah, basically that's what he gets paid, so that's how this works. So what I've done here is, guys, is I've looked back over the past 12 months, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, we have driven something about 83 cars, 83 vehicles in the past 12 months. So we averaged about 1.6 cars per week, which is down a little bit, but we had some things going on this year where...
Still a busy year.
It was a busy year. That's a lot of video shoots. Those are full videos, 1 week at a time vehicles that we did. And so I compiled a list of all the cars, and I kind of went through and created some categories for my favorites and my least favorites in each category. And I thought it would be good to bring you guys in so you could refute me. Of course, I'll tell you you're wrong, but we can just do that anyway.
As he always does.
Yeah, basically that's how it works. So anyway, let's start off with the luxury car of the year, which I have given to the 2015 Mercedes-Benz C400 4MATIC. An absolutely fantastic redesign, soup to nuts, totally transformed the car. I loved everything about it. I thought that car was just a smash hit. Now, it was pricey. The one we had, I think, was in the 60s. And for a C-Class, a car that used to be the entry point to the Mercedes brand, that scares you a little bit.
That was shocking, but overall it was a great car. Ride was superior to most anything we had driven all year in that category.
Yeah.
Surprising for you, though, that you didn't pick a Jag, because you usually are a
oh, don't worry, there's a Jag
guy.
coming in here, but I'm just giving this the overall title of luxury car of the year. The Jags are kind of higher priced. I don't want to price people totally out.
But in that price range that it came in, though, it was getting in the I almost call it Jaguar. In Jaguar territory.
I've got people on YouTube who are always complaining. You Americans don't know how to pronounce Jaguar. We call it Jaguar.
You're starting to affect us now, because now we're doing it for real.
Yeah, we read the comments. Lara, C400 was
C400, I like it.
Yeah, and now you can get the car at like 40 grand. The one we had was in the 60s, but anyway. And Chris, did you pick up the trophies? Because we have to mail these out to the manufacturers.
They're being ordered. They'll be out.
These are eagerly anticipated awards for the manufacturers. And once they hear this news, boy, they're going to be wondering where their prizes are. So
high quality plastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, the next category I have is Executive Sedan of the Year. Those are those big four doors. You know, the BMW 7 Series, the Mercedes S-Classes of the world. And I couldn't quite decide. It came down to a tie for me, which was the 2014 Jaguar XJR.
There it is.
The high-performance Jag. The long wheelbase high-performance Jag, which is just, it's an awesome car.
It doesn't do much for me. I don't like the exterior at all.
I love it.
And I'm a huge Jag fan. But you were going to say something?
Yeah, I like it except for the back end, that Jaguar back end.
Yeah, it lost a little there.
The back end's the best part. You're wrong, and you're wrong.
No.
That car didn't do much for me on the exterior. The interior, they're always great. I love the interior of those cars. Driving is great, but...
How about the sound, man? That it sounded phenomenal. I mean, you wouldn't expect it. It's this big, stately car, and then you just hear it and it just roars.
Nah.
Awesome.
No, there are a lot of things I loved about it, but there are some things that it just didn't quite do it for me. I'm more of a smaller Jag guy.
Well, it tied.
The front, the effortless speed, I like that. I don't like the back end, and I don't like the wicked rumble.
And I love the interior on that car. It's so phenomenal.
It was beautiful.
Phenomenal.
The color on that car, I didn't like that either. The baby powder blue.
Oh yeah, I love that. And by the way, that was a color, if I remember, that's not available in the United States. That was on our test car, but I don't think you can order that. So we stood out, and we looked even cooler that week than normal. But anyway, I made that car into a tie with the 2014 Porsche Panamera Turbo. I love the Panamera. A lot of Porsche loyalists don't. I think that car is just so cool. And then you get it in turbo form, and it's just ridiculous. The interior on that car, that center stack with all the buttons, I just think that's...
I'm trying to remember, because every time you have a Panamera, you shoot it in Maine, and this was the first year that you didn't do it in Maine.
We have done a lot of Panameras in Maine.
So I'm trying to remember that car. Do you have any memories of the Porsche?
The turbo?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fast.
Oh, it's fast, all right. And it's just, it's got enough space inside. It's just a nice alternative to the stalwarts, you know what I mean? You're so tired of seeing an S-Class, S550 formatting, 7 Series, blah, 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 blah. You have one of these Panamera turbos, and hey.
I have to go back and look now. We didn't have many Porsches to begin with this season, so I should remember it.
Yeah, we didn't,
We
Porsche.
did not.
That's true.
Porsche, if you're listening.
Yeah, which they won't be. And, okay, next category is Muscle Car of the Year. Now, we have not driven the Mustang, and so in order to be on this list of cars, again, we had to have driven it in the past 12 months, and we didn't drive everything. Now, we do have the Mustang on our schedule coming up in January of all months. That ought to be great for a snowy month of the year here.
It won't be the high performance, though.
No, we're doing a 4-cylinder, but anyhow, the Muscle Car of the Year, we are Challenger people, and I say we, not here, but we are Challenger people. So the 2015 Dodge Challenger RT Scat Pack was
phenomenal.
Yeah, the changes they made to it, it came in that sublime green. Yep. They finally upgraded the interior.
And I didn't know how much I didn't like the interior. It's not about the interior in that car. It is all about the performance. It's all about the exterior look. It's the best looking car out of the pony cars, hands down, in my opinion. But I didn't realize how cheap the old interior was until this one came along with the new interior.
Yeah, the new interior really changed things.
A lot of nice materials in it. That car, I will own
the big
one.
Hemi, the green, the cool Boulevard cruiser style. It's just, that car is just awesome.
If we ever get the Hellcat, or when we get the Hellcat, I'm sure that'll blow that out of the water.
I'd rather have a Challenger than a Camaro any day of the week.
Absolutely.
I don't care which Camaro you're telling me about. Z28, whatever.
And I would never buy anything with a 6-cylinder in it in that category either. If you're going to buy one, buy the 8-cylinder, put it away somewhere, drive it.
Lara,
that's just my
Challenger?
I'd say go for quiet luxury. That's
you hated that car the week.
Oh, I did.
Well, it was a
I
stick.
hate that thing.
Was it a stick?
Yeah, that was manual. She couldn't drive it.
Yeah, I don't drive the manual.
That was
but
stick.
beyond that,
we just let out a little secret.
I'm not a muscle car girl.
Oh, that's right.
Lara doesn't drive stick.
Lara doesn't drive stick.
That's okay. Because
we're going to get her to drive stick soon.
Anyhow, let's move on to the next category, Small SUV of the Year. I'm giving it to the 2015 Honda CR-V Touring. The Touring trim level's new this year, so it's this new premium CR-V. They did a phenomenal job with what they're calling a mid-cycle refresh, which for all intents and purposes, it's like a new car. It's got a new engine, it's got a new transmission, it's got all kinds of new features. But the styling, that car has always been so boring. And this new one with the new LEDs and everything, it just gave the car some personality. And it rode better than before too. They tweaked the shocks and so forth, so Honda CR-V.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, although on the inside, I still don't love their interface.
Oh, nobody likes
that. Interface, when you're using their touch screen and trying to turn the radio up, you can't do it without having to really look for it.
That's the 2-screen thing. I swear Honda will just eliminate that soon enough because nobody likes it.
Would you put the Forester in that group?
Did we drive a Forester this past year?
I thought we had one.
Negatory. Big. No,
what else do we have in that group from there?
Well, I could look through this list and tell you really quickly, but I don't remember. Well, the Nissan Rogue would have been the other big competitor this year that we drove, and I thought the Rogue redesign was, I wouldn't call it a fail, but it was
for Honda, the CR-V is the one bright spot in their lineup right now.
Oh, it outsells the Camry.
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
Nissan and Honda are having some issues, but the CR-V definitely is their one spot.
Well, the CR-V appeals to not only families, which is what always used to appeal to, but also retirees and people who want to carry things. And
I believe you made this point in the video.
I think I did, but I mean...
You're reinforcing that.
I am, because it's amazing how many people own CR-Vs now.
It is. I mean, that is one. And even these 2015s, I see them all over the road already. So they're selling like crazy.
Out there.
Okay, guys, premium car of the year. Now, what do we call a premium car? It's not a luxury car. It's not a regular car. It's in that in-between section. And there was one car in particular, and I would go as far as to say, if I had to name an overall best in show, it would be this car, and it was the Hyundai Genesis. That car, we drove the 5.0 Ultimate at the launch event.
Yeah.
Then we did a V6 3.8 all-wheel drive that we took on a vacation. And that car is so well done in every way, shape, and form. Hyundai deserves huge kudos on that car, both for the redesign and just for the fact that it gives you everything you could want at a price point that's about $20,000 less than it's
And
competitive.
it's easy and effortless and intuitive, and
It is.
when you drive it anywhere, if you're driving it in heavy traffic in Manhattan, if you're driving on a country road, it feels at ease anywhere you drive it.
Yeah, and we got that a lot down in the test drive that we did when we did the launch. Hyundai has improved leaps and bounds over the past, what would you say, 10 years?
Oh,
Five,
yeah, I mean, really, yeah. I mean, their transformation has been.
Well, and I think
remarkable.
they push the envelope too for every other manufacturer, because now in every segment you start to expect new and different things. Heated seats,
Excellent point. That's true.
Amenities.
Hyundai started sticking heated rear seats in their entry cars, and now you're seeing it everywhere. Everybody copies what Hyundai was all into giving you stuff, and then the rest of the car was like, eh. Now it's the rest of the car is phenomenal, and you got stuff.
Along those lines, though, their sticker is getting a little too high.
It
for
is.
this.
Yeah,
But
that's to be expected.
But if you're gonna go out and you're shopping, you're not expecting to pay $40,000
But
or
think
higher
about-
for a Honda.
Think about where
It's just
Honda
I don't know if
came
they're there
from.
yet.
When Honda brought its Civic, it was a tiny little utilitarian vehicle, and then they became a standard in the industry, and their sticker prices went up.
It certainly didn't happen overnight, but it still happened a lot more quickly.
It
than I
went
would have
faster
thought.
than
Yeah.
Now,
Joe guy.
Guy, would you stick the CLA in that category?
Premium car? No.
Okay.
Sorry, I wouldn't.
But I didn't.
I like the CLA.
I like that.
I like the
enjoy
CLA
that.
too, but you know what? It didn't actually fit into any of the.
I like the CLA. I did not like the AMG pack.
Oh, I did. I wouldn't get the CLA if I didn't get the AMG.
I thought it was a little ambitious to put an AMG
Oh, I
badge
like
on
that.
You don't get that same performance that you do out of like a C63. Obviously, not the same car, but they should have a subcategory for that car and not throw an AMG badge on it.
No, I like the CLA a lot.
Wrong.
It was good
Yeah,
for
the
quiet
CLA
luxury.
45 AMG was cool. We're completely off topic because that doesn't.
Yeah,
fit
but
our-
okay.
Anyhow, small car of the year. I took a lot of heat for this on some of the comments because I actually liked the way that this. I thought this was more fun to drive than the previous.
Fit, right?
The Fit, yeah, excuse me, yeah. We're talking about the Honda Fit, by the way, the all-new Honda Fit. I thought that car was more fun to drive, and everybody, oh, it's not, it's, it doesn't handle as well, it's not as fun. That car, oh, you didn't drive it?
It wasn't me.
Then you cannot comment on that. Okay, well, I thought that car, I mean, it gives you all that space, it looks better now, more features. That engine and that transmission combo in there really worked for me. I thought that car was more fun to drive, not less. And if you were looking for a small car on a budget that's fuel efficient, that gives you more space than any other car in its class, the Honda Fit does it.
And they've started including more features in those Honda Fits too.
Yes,
I think, so.
yeah.
If you like stuff,
I think it even had the lane watch, did it not?
it may have.
I think it did.
If I recall, we didn't like that car when it first came out.
You mean years ago?
Yes.
Well, it's always been a lot of space, but not much else, as far as I was concerned. A lot of people viewed it as a fun little car to drive. I never really saw it as that until now. I enjoyed driving it. So, and that yellow color that it came in, I thought was really cool. Okay, pickup truck of the year. This one was pretty easy for me. I have not been thrilled with what GM has been doing with their redesigns. The Sierra and the Silverado were a little bit of a letdown for me. I'm giving this to the 2014 Ram 1500 Eco Diesel. The only half-ton that is currently offering a diesel engine. It's been a phenomenal hit for Ram. That truck was, I mean, it's a beautiful truck to begin with. Dodge and Ram, they're doing some different things, rear suspension and so forth. And I just love that vehicle. I thought that was a perfect fit.
And I think the consumers bear that out too, right? I mean, Ram has done exceptionally well.
Ram is on a track like this. I mean, they are taking market share, and Ford and Chevy are going, oh boy, here comes Ram. I mean, they're doing a phenomenal job.
I like the looks of the Silverado. I didn't like the looks of the Denali that we had.
It wasn't the look so much. I just don't think that those vehicles ride as well as they used to on an everyday basis. GM used to be, in my mind, the leader for making their big trucks drive most like cars. And then all of a sudden Ram came along with their coil-sprung rear suspension. And their cars just are more polished. I guess it depends on what you're looking for. Maybe the working guy prefers Silverado, Sierra.
I think it's such a wide brand that people cross-shop.
Well, people are loyal to their brands.
They are.
Okay, next up, we have the Sporty small car of the year. And again, this ended in a tie.
Sporty small
car of the year ends in a tie between the 2014 BMW M235i and the 2014 Mini Cooper S. I know they're different cars, but I think of sporty small cars. The M235i we loved.
Yeah.
You know, that's a great car.
You know I'm not a Mini guy. I've never taken to
I
them.
never was a Mini person either, but
And neither was I. That car
like
converted me.
Yeah.
My biggest concern with the Minis is the price. It's just no options. Everything costs extra, and
It
I don't know,
does.
they're just not worth it to me.
Well,
They're fun to drive, but I would never.
I don't
buy
think
one
you
just
got
for-
a lot of seat time in that car, if I remember correctly. We had the Cooper S. We were some of the first people to drive
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
And
But it's fun and customizable if you're into that stuff.
It is.
And it's a snappy drive, too.
and they made it bigger, so it just felt like it was more useful. The engine was great, and all of the BMW-ness in it now was really palpable. Like it was BMW, like all kinds of cool
But I don't want
electronics.
to pay a BMW price for it.
Well,
That's me.
it gets pricey when you start adding stuff.
It's your price to be different, though.
True.
She's smelling Chris's cats, by the way, which is, I can only
Never
see what's
does
going
this.
on.
You're seeing this for the first time.
I don't even know if you can see that far down, but anyway. Oh yeah, and the M235i. I should just say that
Great car.
That is a phenomenal car.
Yeah.
Again, expensive, but I think
Mhm.
we've come to expect that from BMW. Their cars are just pricey. They
Yeah.
are. They can get you with that little entry level price tag, but things go up.
I had more fun driving that than I did any Mercedes that we had any kind
Yeah.
of. That was.
That's a great car.
Yeah, it's fun.
Anyway, we'll move along
You
here.
needed a shout out.
Convertible of the year was easy because, frankly, I don't remember how many convertibles we actually drove this past year.
I
It
looked
wasn't
at
a
that
ton
and I
of them.
thought the same thing.
But when you have the Bentley Continental GT V8S, is there really any other reason to give any other car any consideration?
Yeah, game over.
We had the Stingray convertible, and that was a good car. I mean, phenomenal car. But that Bentley, it had the new, it had the V8 in it, not the 12-cylinder. It had the V8S, and it was the convert. It was just a.
Does Bentley excite you anymore?
I'll tell you what, the GT is becoming a little, and
Old.
it's a little, yeah, they updated the styling, but it's subtle, and you see them on the road a lot, even in this little blue-collar area that we live in, we see a lot of them.
Yeah.
So doesn't feel as special anymore as it used to.
I mean, how many have we driven over in the
We've
past?
driven
every month.
Every way they come.
Used
but-
to get excited. I don't much anymore. That Stingray, if that was
Yeah.
making the cut, that would.
Well,
be
you could have
badass.
put it in there. I
Yeah,
just
I'm
didn't.
gonna pick the Stingray on that. Bentley doesn't do it for
The
me.
Bentley?
I'll go Bentley.
I mean, does it justify the price tag? No, it doesn't.
No.
But it's just a really cool car. I mean, I thought it drove a lot better than it used to. It actually handles now.
Yeah.
And Stingray is more one-dimensional. It's cool, it looks cool, but you can't do a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
with it.
that's
So
a hard
it's
comparison to
different
make between
That was a
vehicle.
yellow car too.
It was. It was.
Okay, Wagon of the Year, and as you guys know, I have a very favorite car. This is a car I've always wanted. I've always wanted to own a Mercedes-Benz E63 AMG Wagon. Now, we didn't get the AMG this year. We've driven them in the past. We did take a quick test drive one at one of our test day events.
Yep.
And I don't include those cars in here because we only drove them
No.
for an hour or so at a time. But I gave that to the E350 4MATIC. I think the Mercedes-Benz E-Wagon is one of the coolest cars. You don't see a lot of them. But if you ask Mercedes, they'll tell you that that is their most affluent customer, even though it's not their most expensive car. If you see somebody in a Mercedes E-Wagon, they're just loaded, you just know they have cash. And that car is just, it's practical, it's fun to drive, it's...
What do you put it up against in a wagon?
We drove a lot of wagons, we drove the new Outback.
Can't compare an
It's a
Outback
little
to
different.
It's a wagon, a wagon's a wagon.
I would put an
Different.
Audi Allroad up against that.
We didn't
maybe.
drive the Audi
I know we
Allroad.
didn't, but
What other wagons did we drive? I can't remember. I mean, the definition of wagon nowadays is getting kind of skewed. You know, is it a crossover? Is it an SUV? Is it a wagon?
Yeah, because there are only like three
But you know what?
wagons anymore.
Well, the E-Wagon's a real wagon. And BMW, or excuse me, Mercedes will even be brave enough to call it a wagon. Most everybody wants to disguise the name now.
Yeah.
Oh, don't call it a wagon. Well, they call it a wagon. Good for them.
he is a wagon homer. When it
I
comes
love
to
that car.
Yeah.
That car is phenomenal. Hybrid of the year. Now, this is going to, I think, surprise some people because nobody buys this car. You never see it. And the rest of the lineup of this car is pretty pathetic. But it's the 2014 Jetta. There's a Jetta hybrid. You probably didn't know, but there exists one. And the Jettas,
I remember it.
Jettas are ugly cars.
I don't think they're hideous. I don't.
Except for the GLI and the hybrid, those are the only two Jettas I would even consider.
I kind of have a liking for the Golf, but I don't think we had one of those this year either.
No. And
No,
plus,
we did
it
not.
wasn't a hybrid, so
No, I
we're
know.
in the hybrid category.
We were comparing the whole lineup, but anyway, we digress.
The Jetta hybrid is cool. I mean, it's the most non-hybrid of any hybrid I've probably ever driven. It actually just drives like a good car.
Yeah, it's fun to drive, and I had a Jetta 1.8T years ago, and I love that thing because it just, you know, it flew, and this felt.
And it got good mileage. I don't remember what it was, but I remember it was at least close to what the EPA and.
Did you take that on a trip too somewhere?
I don't recall, but I do remember thinking, boy, this is a good job for a car that I otherwise would not consider. Because I think VW is so lost with their design right now that it's not even funny. And you can see their sales are tanking across the board. So, anyhow. SUV of the year. This one goes back the full 12 months. We drove a ton of SUVs, as we do up here. But I had to give that to the Range Rover Sport. And who wouldn't want a Range Rover Sport? With a supercharged engine?
If they get the reliability issues back up to par. Yeah, Range Rover, who doesn't want to own one? You're right.
In the Range Rover Sport, I'm not in love with the new front end on that vehicle. I don't think it looks as good as it could, and I hope they tweak it a little bit. But the rest of that vehicle, I mean, it is fast. I'm a sucker for big, powerful SUVs.
I think, though, if you're talking Range Rover, I'd much rather have an Evoque than anything else.
The Evoque is cool, and they did the changes they made to that this year. We did review that. We had that little red four-door.
Yeah.
And that's a great...
And I'm an Evoque guy, too.
Yeah, I like the Evoque.
They're beautiful.
But if I walked into a showroom and I said, I could have the Evoque or I could have
If
this...
you got the cash to throw around?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get a Sport.
Yeah, that's
sure.
what you do.
Yeah.
Okay. Mainstream car of the year. I don't want to use mid-size sedan, but that's pretty much the category we're talking about here. The Accords, Camrys, Fusions, hybrids of the world, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, mainstream car of the year. I didn't love this car at first. This car I really had to warm up to, but by the end of the week, I was thinking, you know what? It's got the looks and it drives pretty well. It's the 2015 Chrysler 200C all-wheel drive. You didn't really drive it much. We took it on a trip to see the in-laws up in Vermont.
Yep.
And it was red, I remember, I think.
I'm not that much a fan of the styling of that. I'm less.
I love the styling. That's the best part of the car.
Yeah, see, I'm not.
Are you kidding me?
Nah.
I go
Are you
Sonata
nuts?
there.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
The
funny
Sonata.
she said that.
Oh, the
Just
styling
gonna
of the new Sonata went.
The exterior of that car didn't bother me that much, but I thought again.
They went too conservative with that.
I don't know. I would go.
That was in the category here, but if I had to choose between, and I like, don't get me wrong, the Hyundai Sonata. We drove the Sport 2.0T and we drove a Sport without the turbo. Good cars, excellent cars. But that styling left me feeling pretty cold. And when you look at that, and you know what? Don't underestimate the importance of really attractive styling. It gets people into the showrooms. The Chrysler 200 is selling very well. And it wasn't like it drove poorly. I liked the way, it just took me a little time to warm up to it.
The Chrysler kind of looks like a soapbox derby kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's kind of too. It's got a little too square.
There's a funkiness
Square?
to it.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something.
I don't know.
Well, the old version.
The
was
old version.
square,
Maybe
but
I'm
this
just-
is more
Well, I
Yeah,
think you're thinking, you didn't even drive the car.
It's rounded off square.
I saw it. I
We're
drove
moving
the
on.
300C.
Sports car of the year. We drive a lot of sports
A lot.
cars. We drive a lot. We drove the Jaguar F-Type Coupe at a special event, which was just, that was the best junket I think we've ever been on. We went out to
Yeah,
Los
Range
Angeles.
Rover, Jag, if you're watching this, thank you. That was one of the best trips I've ever been
We
on.
went to Willow Springs.
Yeah.
We put it on
Which
the
was
track.
an afterthought after driving up through the Angeles Forest.
Yeah, that was
Phenomenal drive. Best roads I've ever driven anywhere. And
Yeah.
that car, that's not your pick on it.
Guess what? It's not my
It's
pick.
gotta be the Alfa Romeo.
It
isn't
is.
it? Yeah.
Alpha came back to the United States. They gave us this car. We quickly test drove it at IMPA Test Days back in September. And I left thinking, I don't know. Then I got it up here for a week on some better roads because the roads around there were really rough.
Yeah,
and that is not a car you want to seek out rough roads with because that ride can be brutal. But most of the time up here it was fine. That is just the non-power steering.
It's pure driving.
Oh, it is. It's just a pure driver's car.
Well, and coming from somebody, I don't like that kind of car. When those kind of cars come, I'm usually not that interested. I will do some of the other production, but not the driving so much. And I love driving that car.
Yeah.
He told me to go fast, and I was like, I don't know. But
And you
then
could go fast.
Yeah,
You could go fast.
And it sounded, I mean, the Sport exhaust on there was just ridiculous.
It had that kind of a spool sound to it. Yeah, everything about that car was a lot of fun.
Yep.
Hard to get in and out of.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh,
Just
brutal. The worst.
impossible
Worse
to
than
get
a
in
Viper, if that's even
Yeah,
possible.
but I didn't want to see that car go. I needed more time.
If you're over the age of like 40, you might not want to even consider it.
I don't know.
You can't get in and out.
And it's not that
Maybe
practical.
you can hire
for everything
someone.
else.
Although it's not as expensive as people think either. That's
No, the
it's
price
not.
tag on
It's
it
a
was
lot
great
less
for
than it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
And they sold like 24 of them last month, so you know they're just taking off.
I'd have to go back to the Stingray in that category.
Oh yeah, yeah. I like the Corvette. You know what? I think sometimes I'm a victim of what I've driven recently. And the Corvette was a while ago, and I did like it, but this Alfa Romeo, it just felt special.
And it was the first time we had an Alfa.
It was the first time we had an Alfa.
So yeah, it's totally different. You're not going to see them everywhere either.
It had the cheesiest radio I have ever seen in maybe any car I've ever driven in 18 years.
You wouldn't hear it.
You don't hear it anyway, so that's the point of it.
Yeah. It wasn't, there's no need for a radio.
Yeah, it was deafening inside that cabin.
But deafening in a good way.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that pretty much wraps up all the different categories that I have here. Now I want to talk about this general category I call losers. Okay, this is general a loser. And what I mean by loser is that these were cars that I want to say I was disappointed in. They either didn't give me what I expected or they were just not good. Okay, so here's a couple of cars and I'll let you guys...
And in today's politically correct world, the losers get trophies too.
Oh yes, we'll send losers trophies. Yes. They're uglier trophies, but they're trophies.
Don't want to leave anybody out.
All right, one of the cars we driven recently was that 2015 Acura TLX, the 2.4 liter. I should be specific because I actually liked the V6 on a quick test drive. We drove the 4-cylinder model, and I was really just let down by that transmission. The new dual clutch with the torque converter.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember thinking it was that bad.
Well, we had the opportunity to drive the
It was just, again, I don't want to say it's bad, it's just disappointing. But I mean, Acura they could have done so much more.
The 6-cylinder that we drove at the test days.
I liked that.
That we actually came away from that, and that's what we were hoping we were going to get.
And perhaps we should note that that car currently has a do not sell on it because the transmissions could
There are transmission issues.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll fix that in the shortcoming term. But I thought the 6-cylinder in the brief time that we drove it was okay. The 4-cylinder, it didn't leave much.
Yeah, it replaces the TL, replaces the TSX. It's a kind of combo car. And I think if they didn't sell it in their commercials, like it was like the greatest thing since sliced bread as a high performance car, you see all that, you overpromise, underdeliver. I got the car and I was like, ugh, really? This is kind of boring.
But if you want it for driving around town and doing things like that,
there's people that it's doing well in sales, so they're getting to somebody, just not me.
Not us.
Okay, now I hate to put this car on the loser list, and I want to qualify this, okay, with it's not a loser, but again, it didn't meet my expectations in this regard, and it was the new Viper, the SRT GTS, the high-end Viper. I was expecting a car that was more refined. That's what every auto show I went to. Oh, here's the new refined interior. Phenomenal looks, much better interior, but that car is still rough. I mean, that is a rough car. And people like that about it. I understand that. It's not supposed to be get in and drive around to the grocery store. But for that kind of money that they're asking for that car, I need a little bit.
That's why they dropped the price on it.
They dropped the price.
They dropped the price.
15 grand.
Mid-model.
I think you and I both agreed when we got into that we felt more comfortable in it faster than we had in the previous models.
Doesn't scare as much
they refined everything on it. I personally, that was my favorite Viper that we've ever driven. My father likes to tell people, I took him out for a ride, he says, if you're going to take it anywhere, build in an extra 15 minutes just to talk to people about it because it attracts. Oh, yeah.
Even all these years later, people still, and the new looks are just
phenomenal.
Great.
I'm going to disagree with you on a loser. I think they have something going there. It's a shame that it's not selling, that they have to do all those things. Maybe you'll be able to pick one up at an even cheaper price if they don't sell many of them, and then you'll have a nice collector in the garage somewhere.
All right, next up, I'm putting the new Audi A3, the 2.0T we drove. Just because that car, for a brand new car that they have touted as the next best thing in Audi, it was just old looking. It felt old, it looked old, it didn't feel special. I didn't feel like I was driving a new car. It wasn't a bad car, it just didn't feel new. It felt like I was driving something that had already been in the market for years.
Well, the Audi and the VW controls and things like that haven't changed much in the last 15 years, really.
The MMI system has gotten much better to the point where I can actually get in there and use it now.
Yeah.
But that car just didn't do much.
But the look of it is not different.
This is a hybrid that was a real loser. There's a couple of hybrids that are real losers. I'll put them together. The Infiniti QX60, formerly the JX35, and the Subaru XV Crosstrek hybrid, which is a joke.
That was terrible.
That car is a good car, but there's absolutely no reason to buy the hybrid version of it because it gives you no better mileage, like maybe 1 mpg. So unless you're just trying to flaunt the fact that you bought the hybrid and you get that cool green hybrid color that it came in, Other than that, and in the Infiniti QX60, I mean, it was just
trying to remember that.
But again, there wasn't significant fuel.
Yeah, that was the thing. It didn't bump up the fuel economy much.
Oh yeah,
it's a lame hybrid.
Yeah.
And now this is my absolute total loser of all the losers. And this car was bad. I mean, this is not just disappointing. This car was like I didn't even want to drive it. It was the Infiniti Q50S all-wheel drive, which had the steer-by-wire system, which basically replaces the mechanical linkage between your steering wheel, right, and the tires, okay? So basically, it's just all electronics now. And the electronics on that were so dreadful that you felt like it was driving you.
Yeah, disconnected.
I remember when we got that, you didn't say anything to me, and I got in it to drive it, and I didn't even get halfway down the road and thought, what the heck is wrong with
this? Yeah, you felt like there was something wrong with it.
Right away, there was something wrong with it.
I would have had that thing back at the dealership in 2 seconds.
Yeah. Very, very disappointing. There was nothing about that car that was fun.
We should note that you don't have to get the car with it, but it is bundled in with some other things that you do want. So you can't just take it out.
Yeah,
you know,
it's not a separate option, and it should be. Or maybe they're going to improve that.
They'll have to improve it because
Yeah,
if they expect to sell that car like that,
yeah, there's no feel when you're driving.
No,
you don't feel like
steering
you're
is
connected to the road.
It was supposed to be more connected. It's totally disconnected. It's the worst absolute way.
They should put a do not sell on that right now too, and lump it in. But hey, sorry.
Anyhow, well, that pretty much wraps up our list here for 2014. I want to thank all the Drive Time viewers because they are a loyal bunch. They come to the YouTube channels. There's 2 of them. The main channel where you'll find the reviews. The other channel, which is where I put the overview pieces for upcoming cars, kind of keep you in touch with what's coming out in the near future. And then there's the website, TestDriveNow.com, where we have the reviews, but we also have frequently updated news articles and things going on in the automotive industry you can find there as well.
Yeah.
And we should give a shout out to some of the frequent commenters.
We read them all.
Billy
Sue. I like Billy Sue. Billy Sue could be my PR guy. He comes in and defends me when other people knock me down, you know.
And he's quick.
He's quick.
He's right there.
Billy Sue's right there. Dave Dunn. Gotta like the Dave Dunn.
Yeah.
Lara doesn't like Dave Dunn.
Dave and I.
Dave wanted her out of the CRV video. And then we used to have, what happened to Quiet Guy 1948? He, you know what it was?
He's been quiet.
Well, he's been quiet because he kind of threatened me. He said, if the prices don't start coming down on the test drives.
What you guys got to understand is that they send us these cars fully loaded so you can see all the options.
Yeah.
It's not the sticker. Right. I mean,
that's
you want to see what
we would do if we had something we wanted to know.
Exactly. If we tested all base models, you guys would say, well, what else?
You don't want a journalist driving just a base on it.
Sorry, Quiet Guy. But
Triple X Sater.
Triple X Sater.
Where are you, Triple X Sater?
He came back for a... like the Corvette video, like he was gone for months. He made one comment, and I said, "Where have you been?" And I haven't heard from him.
There's so many cars in Vegas he can look at now. He doesn't have to watch a video.
Is he from Vegas?
Vegas, yeah. Remember, everything was on the Vegas.
Oh, that's right. Hey.
If we had it, he saw it first. So Triple X,
we're leaving people out. You know, there's another guy. I think it's Pedro. He's on my Twitter more than. Twitter at DriveTime Videos. Please go and subscribe.
Yeah,
and Pinterest. We're on Pinterest now too, so you can find a lot of content and videos.
Pedro's cool.
And for the guy who met me, recognized me. Somebody actually recognized me down in New York. What was that? About 6-7 months ago, maybe.
New York Auto Show.
Yeah. Recognized me in the train station. If you're watching, good to see you. I hope you're safe out on the roads. You're a truck driver from New York City.
Cool.
And totally threw me off.
We met Sebastian Pruth.
Sebastian.
We met him in LA. We actually, made it.
He reached out, said, I heard you guys are coming to LA, and we got to meet him. Cool guy. He's a Trekkie too, and he does a Trek piece on YouTube. Yeah. So Sebastian, if you're watching,
we don't have any female commenters. Like
I don't think they.
I think less than 10% of all my viewers on YouTube are female. So
yeah, ladies, if you're watching, let us know that you're out there, will you? So we know that you're there, please. We do appreciate you guys watching, though. Yeah. So anyway, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We've got a lot of things planned for 2015. I don't really know what any of them are. But there's big things. Big things coming. Big things. We have lots of cool rides lined up already. Yeah. Detroit. I'm going to Iceland in January for the Land Rover Discovery. I'm waiting to be cleared, so hopefully I'll be. Chris might go. He might not go. We can't figure out if Jaguar wants to spend the money or not to send him Land Rover. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you. See you soon.